How you doing, guys? It's Dave here. Some of you may have noticed or had watched a video where I had just received my Land Pride grapple for the B2650 here. Got to use it that day. It was kind of an introduction. I did a little bit, probably about a half an hour after I stopped recording. I had a rock in the grapple that I was moving and trying to place, and all of a sudden I lost the ability to use the grapple. It just stopped. So of course that drove me nuts. It was on a Saturday. The dealership that I bought the Kubota from, MB Tractor here in New Hampshire, they're usually wonderful. They actually have a traveling guy whenever I've had a problem, which has only been one other time. They actually came out. It was an easy fix. But they actually drive out, but they usually shut down at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, and they don't open again until Monday morning. Of course, I just cut the grapple, just started to use it, and it was a wicked bummer. So I sat there thinking I'm going to be a day and a half easily before I get to use this again. But you know, with the power of the internet and searching around, fiddling, it took me a whole day to really find the answer. But I wish I could give credit to somebody I found on YouTube that was talking about installing a third function valve, and for about a little 3-second clip they explained a little something in there about a fuse, which is what I thought it was to begin with, because it just looked like it was no power, everything else was fine. The other nice thing about my dealership is the guy that has built my last 2 tractors, you know, he knows how to do it. I'm sure he puts together 50, 100, who knows, a year. He gives me all the installation. So I started combing through my installation books, and it looks like it could be very confusing, but it was helpful. I'll show you some of the stuff that I looked at to try to get me into the right spot, and then with the help again with YouTube, all you tractor guys and maintenance guys and mechanics out there, very helpful, and ended up saving myself from having to call them. It turned out to be a relatively easy fix after I did it, so I figured I would show you guys, just because if anybody else runs into this problem, they're scratching their head and pulling their hair out trying to figure it out. It can be difficult to go through, especially a Saturday afternoon when you know you can't get any help. So here was the install instructions on the third function valve. Sorry for the shadow, it's going to be a little bit challenging. I basically ended up trying to follow through, and what it really had you do is you have to take the steering wheel off. I did attempt to do that, but I believe you need a special steering wheel puller to do. So I took the nut off, but got no further with that. Then I started peeking through all this and realized that you've got to take the whole dash apart, which seemed pretty daunting at first, but it's really not that bad. Once I was able to do that, and like I said, with the help of the YouTube video, I was able to find where there's a fuse box, I guess, or at least where a fuse plug goes into. Sorry, I don't know the exact terminology, because there's a lot of wires behind this dash. But I was able to find it and take that blown fuse. Not really sure why it blew, especially so early. I probably only had an hour in on the tractor, so hopefully it's not an underlying problem, but I have used the grapple for about another hour or so since with no problems. But I'll kind of show you it. You know, it's nice out today, but where you've got to kind of get to might be a little bit hard to see, but I'll try to explain the best I can, and show you what I went through. So hang tight while I just get some tools ready, and we'll get started. Okay guys, so first thing you're really going to want to do here is there's a little screw, Phillips head screw, that's up here it's very hard to see because it's dark, and of course you're looking at a charcoal panel or a black panel here, but there is a just a Phillips head screw right here. That's got to come out. You have a 10mm bolt that is up here holding on this side, which is the the exit driver's side, and there's also another one above the rocker panel, or the rocker pedal I should say. Again, very hard to see these, but once you get down there and you start looking around, they're pretty simple. They're right there. But anyway, you're going to remove those, okay? And I'll show you. I thought that I was going to be getting into this panel, and I did, and I literally pulled every single one of these fuses because I figured that this was somehow tied in. But turns out I was wrong, but that was a big trial and error. That looks like it pretty much does everything in the cab, but not really any of the other stuff. And I'll show you the problem I was having with this. This button right here is lit up, and it's kind of like a fluorescent yellow. Well, you take it off, you got nothing. That means all the power to your third function is now disabled, or it's gone. You click it, it's back on. Well, I was clicking and unclicking and not getting any power, so I figured it had to be an electrical problem. And then I ended up taking this whole stick to the point where I could kind of look at the wires. The wires actually come down, they go under the floor here, and they pop up right over on this side here. You can see where they actually come up off from the floor here. But this is real easy to take up. You didn't need to in this case, but I did because I was trying to trace a wire that I thought maybe broken or pinched. But the flooring's actually got a little groove that's set in there around foam to run the wires. So I would say the biggest challenge with this is maneuvering the dash enough that you can get it around the steering wheel and out enough to get to where this fuse is. By the way, this is the little bugger right here. Okay, it's a little number 10 fuse that had to be replaced. I couldn't actually believe it was even blown, but again, who knows. So I'm going to go ahead and start taking some of this stuff apart, so I can show you. Got a little. This Phillips screw is very difficult to get to, so just keep that in mind. It isn't impossible, but I didn't happen to even think of it then, but I do have one of these nice little tools that you can actually bend in a few different directions, a little drill. So if you have something handy like that, it makes a job like this a lot easier. So we're just going to pop this out. And we're going to take our 10mm. I don't think you're going to see this because it's pretty dark, but I will. I'll go through the motions. It's a little tight working in here. I just grabbed my simple socket set, so could probably have gotten a little bit smaller to get in. Okay, we'll move to the other side. Okay, so now the somewhat tricky part. This does just kind of pop out. Okay, and it's all fairly easy to set back in. For me, hopefully you're seeing this, for me, I found it was a little bit more simple to try and just pull it to the side here and access it. Now this would be the little bugger right here. Pop that off, and there she was. So it was actually not too bad, like I said, and that still looks nice and good. But that really threw me for a loop for the for a good day, which I really lost the better of the day to work on stuff. But hey, I learned something fairly valuable with all this. I gotta sit you down and just not coordinate enough to do it with one hand. Okay, and we are almost done here, putting this thing back together. Just make sure everything's in there right, and then it's just a matter of getting your rubber gasket here that goes around the instrument panel into place. Which again isn't too difficult. Perfect. There you have it. Give it a little test run here, make sure I didn't screw anything up, and it is good. So hopefully that helps somebody else out. Like I said, that drove me nuts, and it really wasn't that hard of a fix. And certainly putting this, taking it off and doing it over again, I did have that console out about 4 times, and so that was, I did take those bolts in and out a bunch of times, and I should have been a lot quicker at it this time, but it's been a little while. So anyway, I hope this helps out somebody. I hope everybody enjoyed the video, hope it helps out, and if you like the video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and if you know somebody else that might be having this issue, certainly share it with them. All right, thanks guys.